Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All gurus, Sri Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. So today we're hearing the conversation between Markandeya Rishi and Lord Shiva. While Mataji reads, you can pay attention to two main themes. One is Lord Shiva glorifying the power of devotee association. That's one main thing. And second is what are the aspirations or desires that Markandeya expresses also. We'll see in this. So while Mataji is reading, please pay attention to these two themes. Thank you. So Mataji, you can start whenever you're ready, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All grace to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Yasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayat Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 12, Chapter 10, verses 22 to 42. Lord Shiva and Uma glorifies Markandeya Rishi. Text 22. These devotees do not differentiate between Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, and me, nor do they differentiate between themselves and other living beings. Therefore, because you are the kind of saintly devotee, we worship you. Text 23. Mere bodies of water do not constitute holy places, nor are lifeless statues of the demigods actual worshipable deities. Because external vision fails to appreciate the higher essence of the holy rivers and the demigods, these purify only after the considerable time. But devotees like you purify immediately just by being seen. Text 24. By meditating upon the Supreme Soul, performing austerities, engaging in Vedic study, and following regulative principles, the Brahmanas sustain within themselves the three Vedas, which are not different from Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, and me. Therefore, I offer my obeisances unto the Brahmanas. Text 25. Even the word sinner and the social outcasts are purified just by hearing about or seeing personalities like you. Imagine then how purified they become by directly speaking with you. Text 26. Suta Goswami said, drinking with his ears Lord Shiva's nectarian words full of the confidential essence of religion, Markandeya Rishi could not be sustained. Text 27. Markandeya, having been forced by Lord Vishnu's illusionary energy to wander about for a long time in the waters of dissolution, had become extremely exhausted. But Lord Shiva's words of nectar vanquished his accumulated sufferings. Thus he addressed Lord Shiva. Text 28. Sri Markandeya said, it is indeed most difficult for embodied souls to understand the pastimes of the universal controller. For such Lord bow down to and offer praise to the very living being they rule. Text 29. Generally, it is to induce embodied souls to accept religious principles that the authorized teachers of the religion exhibits ideal behavior while encouraging and praising the proper behavior of others. Text 30. This apparent humility is simply a show of mercy. Such behavior of the Supreme Lord and his personal associates, which the Lord affects by his own bewildering potency, does not spoil his power any more than the magician's power are diminished by his exhibition of tricks. Text 31 and 32. I offer my obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who creates this entire universe simply by his desire and then entered into it as a super soul. But by making the modes of nature acts, he seems to be the direct creator of this world. Just as a dreamer seems to be acting within his dream, he is the owner of the ultimate controller of the three modes of nature, yet he remains alone and pure. Without any equal, he is the supreme spiritual master of all, the original personal form of the absolute truth. Text 33. O all pervading Lord, since I have received the benedictions of seeing you, what other benediction can I ask for? Simply by seeing you, a person fulfills all his desires and can achieve anything imaginable. Text 34. But I do request one benediction from you, who are full of all perfection and able to show down the fulfillment of all desires. I ask to have unfailed devotional for the Supreme Personality of Godhead and for his dedicated devotees, especially you. Text 35. Suta Goswami said, thus worshipped and glorified by the eloquent statements of the sage Markandeya, Lord Sarva, Shiva, encouraged by his consort, replied to him as follows. Text 36. O great sage, because you are the devotee of Lord Adokshaja, all your desires will be fulfilled until the very end of this creation cycle. You will enjoy pious fame and freedom from old age and death. Text 37. O Brahmana, may you have perfect knowledge of past, present, and future, along with the transcendental realizations of the Supreme, enriched by renunciation. You have the brilliance of an ideal Brahmana, and thus may you achieve the post of spiritual master of the Puranas. Text 38. Suta Goswami said, having thus granted Markandeya Rishi benedictions, Lord Shiva went on his way, continuing to describe to goddesses Devi the accomplishment of the sage and the direct exhibition of the Lord's illusionary power that he had experienced. Text 39. Markandeya Rishi, the best of the descendants of Bhrigu, is glorious because of his achievements of the perfection in the mystic yoga. Even today, he travels about this world fully absorbed in unalloyed devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 40. I have thus narrated to you the activities of the highly intelligent sage Markandeya, especially how he experienced the amazing power of the Supreme Lord illusionary energy. Text 41. Although this event was unique and unprecedented, some unintelligent persons compare it to the cycle of illusionary material existence the Supreme Lord has created for the conditioned soul, an endless cycle that has been continuing since time immemorial. Text 42. O best of the Bhrigu, this account concerning Markandeya Rishi conveys the transcendental potencies of the Supreme Lord. Anyone who properly narrates or hears it will never again undergo material existence, which is based on the desire to perform fruitive activities. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport of Srimad Bhagavatam, 12th canto, 10th chapter. Lord Shiva and Uma glorifies Markandeya Rishi. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Madhu. So it's a nice section, and the context here was Lord Shiva and Markandeya Rishi are conversing here. How this started, whole thing was started was few chapters ago. Suta Goswami was being asked a question by sages of Naimisar India to describe about Markandeya Rishi and his experience of the illusory presence of Krishna also. How did that happen like that? Then we heard how Suta Goswami described whole experience of Markandeya Rishi, where he personally saw the illusory presence of Krishna manifested in terms of suffering that he experienced for some time. And also he experienced a wonderful vision of Supreme Lord personally coming as a baby form also. He saw that. And then now we are hearing glorification. Uma Devi and Lord Shiva were going in the sky, we heard, and they glorified Markandeya Rishi. So that's the section we are in, where Lord Shiva is glorifying Markandeya Rishi and all the devotees also. So as I mentioned, the two main themes are importance of devotee association, glories of devotee association, and of course, how to become nice devotees also. And then another theme today is also about what kind of aspirations we can learn from great devotees like Markandeya Rishi ourselves in our devotion service like that. There's a few themes today we'll discuss. So the last verse we discussed yesterday was 21st verse. In that verse, Lord Shiva said, all the inhabitants of all the planets, including Lord Brahma, including myself and Lord Hari, glorify, worship, and assist those Brahmanas who have nice qualities like that, he said. They'll assist also. Not only they glorify and worship, they'll also assist us as we develop good qualities and try to strive in devotion service. All these great personalities like Brahma or Shiva, they're all helping us, assisting us in devotion service. That is one nice point. Meaning, the glorification is continuing from that verse. That's why I repeated yesterday's verse. Now, text 22. He says, why are these devotees? Another reason why these devotees are glorious is because of their equal vision. What kind of equal vision? They don't see, they see everybody, all the living entities, including Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Lord Vishnu, everybody in relation to the Supreme Lord. That is why there is one more reason that they're glorious like that Lord Shiva is describing. That means they're not seeing in terms of the material forms, but they're seeing everyone in relation to Krishna, the Supreme Lord. Now, text 23 to 25, he glorifies the purifying association of saintly devotees. He says in 23, actually, just going to bodies of water does not constitute holy places, and just worshipping the deity form of demigods doesn't first perform the actual worship. Why? Because normally people don't appreciate the essence of the holy rivers and the demigods. So because of that, they purify only after a long time of worship like that, long time of being in contact with them like that, especially in terms of holy rivers. But then devotees like you purify immediately just by being seen, just by seeing. Narottam Das Thakur also sings that how just by the darshan of the Vaishnava, we get purified like that. So now that is the 23rd verse. 24th verse, Lord Shiva describes how come these Brahmanas with good qualities have developed this tremendous purity like that, so that when people just see them, they'll get purified. The secret is that they're dedicated to performing austerities. That means they're inclined to perform austerities, and they're engaged in Vedic study, and they're engaged in following regulative principles. So that is how they're developing this purity. So it's a instruction for us also. As long as we follow regulations of bhakti, and then be eager to do the austerities required for bhakti as recommended by scriptures, so Guru and Sadhu only, and then engage in scriptural study, we can also develop the purity required through devotional service like this. That's one thing we can learn from this verse like that. So now text 25 is further glorifying the purifying association of devotees. Even the worst sinners and social outcasts are purified just by hearing about or seeing personalities like you. Lord Shiva is personally telling to Markandeya Rishi. Just by seeing or by hearing about them, we get purified like that. Imagine then how purified they become by directly speaking with you. So this should inspire us to take the association of saintly devotees whenever we get an opportunity. So in seeing, hearing about them, hearing from them, and speaking to them itself is purifying, like that Lord Shiva is describing here. So that way, these are not just we hear and forget about it, but we should take these things in our heart. That way, whenever we get an opportunity to associate with saintly devotees, so that time we remember this, and then we really become eager. We really arrange our life in such a way that we try our best to take their advantage of their association. So that is one thing. Now going to 26th verse, Sutta Goswami is describing that Markandeya Rishi was not satiated hearing these glories. And does that mean that he's proud? Oh, tell me, I'm so great. Not like that. That's what purport is clarifying for us. Because he's appreciating Lord Shiva's deep realizations of religious principles. That's why he wants to hear more and more like that. These are what he's speaking is not just glorifying him personally, Markandeya Rishi. He's glorifying the principle that few devotees are so great. Just by associating with them, we all can benefit so much like that. That is why Markandeya Rishi was happy to hear and was eager to hear more like that also, even. But Markandeya Rishi was actually extremely exhausted with that previous experience he had with the destruction time experience of Maya. But Lord Shiva's words of nectar vanquished his accumulated suffering, it seems. That means his words were very sweet and glorifying the bhakti, glorifying the potency of bhakti and bhaktas. So he's very happy to hear that. And then in the purport, interestingly, there's a discussion that in person of Shiva, Lord Vishnu appeared again before the sage and relieved all his suffering by imparting blissful spiritual instructions. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also writes the same thing, is described in the Burjan Prabhu study guide, that through Lord Shiva, actually Lord Vishnu personally appeared through him and is encouraging him like this after the experience of Maya like that. Now going to 20th verse, Markandeya Rishi is now speaking to Lord Shiva. Remember Lord Shiva glorified devotee association, specifically glorified Markandeya Rishi also like that, right? So now Markandeya Rishi is responding back. He's saying, it's indeed most difficult for embodied souls, that means people, not ordinary souls who have body, material body, to understand the pastime of universal controllers. Like Lord Shiva is one of the universal controllers, like other demigods. For such lords, bow down to and offer praise to the very living beings they rule. These universal controllers, they are ruling all of us living beings. But they themselves are praising us, they themselves are going before us. So that is bewildering, he's saying. That's most difficult to understand, he's saying. So in the purport, when we think that I am great, everybody needs to respect me, everybody needs to worship me like that, when we think, then we cannot understand how somebody great can offer obeisance to another person, how somebody great can appreciate another person, glorify another person. Like that purport is clarifying this. So that's important principle for us also to learn, that if you're not able to appreciate behavior of the saintly persons, that means we are only in the consciousness of me. How can I enjoy like that? So then this is only because of their magnanimous personality. That's what is being described. Why the great persons act like this? Next verses describe more about it. Next verse itself, to that 29th verse, is saying, why is Lord Shiva is glorifying like that, ordinary living being like that? Why is Lord Shiva appreciating so much? Why is Lord Shiva offering obeisances to a Vaishnava like this? He's saying, it is to induce embodied souls to accept religious principles that the authorized teachers of religion exhibit ideal behavior. So why is he exhibiting that ideal behavior? So that everybody else can accept the religious principles. Oh, Vaishnavas are to be respected like this. Vaishnavas association should be appreciated like this. They will learn. So that's why they're showing them with their personal behavior. That's number one point. Number two, and they're also doing this, teaching this by encouraging and praising the proper behavior of others. So that's what teachers are meant to do. When we appreciate others, especially in the assembly, then it's helpful for others who are seeing to understand, oh, that's a nice quality to develop like that. Number one. Number two, the person who is encouraged, they also feel encouraged to cultivate that quality more and more. It's not that they become the greatest in that quality like that. And when we get appreciation, The way we need to see that is, oh, they're appreciating this quality in me. Actually, I don't have that quality so much, but I want to develop it as a service to Vaishnavas like that. That's how we need to see that. We need to develop our determination more and more to improve that quality that others are seeing and appreciating like that. So that's the other lesson we can learn from here. Now going to text 30. He says, this apparent humility, Markandeya Rishi is still speaking. Apparent humility is simply a show of mercy. What apparent humility? That great personalities paying obeisances, great personalities appreciating ordinary persons is like a show of their mercy for all of us like that. Such behavior of the Supreme Lord and his personal associates does not spoil his power any more than a magician's powers are not diminished by showing his tricks. Magician, when he shows his tricks, he doesn't lose his magic power. Similarly, just because a great person, so our Supreme Lord himself or his associates are paying obeisance to somebody, are glorifying somebody, it doesn't put them down. They didn't become down like that. Similarly, we should also learn from this that when we appreciate others, we're not becoming low. Actually, we're developing their qualities when we appreciate others like that. It's only for our benefit actually. So like that we need to see, not like, oh, when you glorify somebody, then I become less than them. Not like that. That's the point we made here. And then of course, another point Prabhupada loves to make, there's no purport for this. Prabhupada usually loves to make is that Supreme Lord is Supreme Lord. No matter what position, what circumstance, doesn't matter like that. That's another important point to note. Now going to text 31-32. He's saying, I offer my obeisances to the Supreme Person of Godhead, who has created this entire universe simply by his desire, and then enter into it also. And he's saying he's the ultimate control of the three modes of nature. Yet he remains alone and pure separately also. Is the original personal form of the absolute truth like that. So he's glorifying Supreme Lord now. In text 33 he says, oh, all-pervading Lord. So in these two verses it appears is glorifying Lord Shiva like Supreme Lord, but it will be clarified in the next verse. Means Josh glorifying the Lord Shiva as Supreme Lord in the sense that as a representative of Supreme Lord like that is glorifying like that. Now going to the next verse, text 33, he says, since I have received the benedictions of seeing you, what other benedictions can I ask for? Remember, way early, before Lord Shiva glorified the devotee association, he said, my darshan cannot go in vain. Please ask me something like that, he asked. After that, he started glorifying Lord devotees. So he's remembering that point and responding to it. What other benedictions can I ask for? I got the benediction of seeing you. Simply by seeing you, a person fulfills all his desires and can achieve anything imaginable. So this is important principle also. This is the glories of the Supreme Lord and his pure devotees also. Just by seeing those devotees, just by interacting with those devotees, we can achieve great things in spiritual progress like that. It's because we get inspired by seeing them, by interacting with them. And then remember, Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha, that means they're fulfilling all our desires also. So that's why they're desire tree, you can fulfill the desires like that. That's what is being indicated here. Now text 34, this is a beautiful verse. This is the essence of the whole section. Wonderful essence of the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, in fact. Gurujan Prabhu says like that. This is not something that we need to aspire for. So what is the final request this Markandeya Rishi is placing before Lord Shiva? He's saying, but I will request one benediction from you. What is that? I ask to have unfailing devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead and for his dedicated devotees, especially you. So in this verse is clearly indicating Lord Shiva's position, that Lord Shiva is one of the dedicated devotee of the Supreme Lord, and Supreme Lord is separate, also is indicating like that in this particular verse. That's one point. Second point is, what is he asking? He's not asking for material desires, he's asking for unfailing devotion to Supreme Lord and his devotees, right? So Gurujan Prabhu writes some wonderful commentary for this. So actually before that, purport makes one nice point that this kind of pure desires to engage in the loving service of Krishna is only possible by special mercy of Lord's devotees like that. So because of Lord devotees, we get some special desires like that, wonderful pure desires like that, to engage in loving service of Krishna like that. That's one beautiful point in the purport. Now going to Burjan Prabhu's comments, he's saying that he gives 2-3 examples. One example is, let me go there, this is 33rd verse, right? One example he talks about is that in the past, Narayana Rishi, when he requested Narayana Rishi also, he said, he also asked the same thing. I just by seeing the darshan of you, I got everything I needed like that. That's one thing he was describing. And then, what did he ask Narayana Rishi? He asked, I asked to have, no, that's not the point here. Parikshit Maharaj is describing the example of Parikshit Maharaj. I think this is the verse, Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 19th chapter, 16th verse. I believe this is the same verse Vamshivadan Prabhu also sent to the group also earlier. Gauranga Darshan Prabhu is briefly describing the essence. So Parikshit Maharaj is asking at the end of the first canto almost to all the sages who assembled there when he is about to die, when they learned that he is going to die in 7 days like that. What did he ask? He says, if I should take my birth again in this material world, I'll have complete attachment and attachment to unlimited Lord Krishna. Attachment to Lord Krishna. One thing is asking. Second thing is association with his devotees. Second thing. Third thing is I have friendly relationships with all living beings like that. Krishna, devotees association, and friendly relationship with all the other living beings like that. Now, another example Burjan Prabhu quotes is from 10th canto, where when Lord Krishna went to Madura from Vrindavan, he was received by a garland maker, florist, Sudama, not the Sudama Brahmana friend, but another Sudama who is a florist who maintains flowers, who makes garlands like that. He offered beautiful garlands and worship Lord Krishna and pleased Lord Krishna. Then Lord Krishna asked him, what benediction you want? He also asked similar benediction. What is the benediction he asked? I want unshakable devotion for Krishna, and then friendship with his devotees, and transcendental compassion for all living beings. So, similarly, Burjan Prabhu describes these are wonderful aspirations we as practicing devotees can cultivate. Attachment to Krishna, devotion to Krishna, friendly relations are association of devotees, number 2, and then compassion for other living beings. If you cultivate these aspirations, this will lead to all spiritual perfection. Everything will come through these things. Like that, Burjan Prabhu writes. And he says, this is the essential desires readers of Srimad Bhagavatam should imbibe. So that's a beautiful aspirations we can learn from pure devotees through Bhagavatam like this. Now go to the next verse. Let me see where it is. 30. Yeah, that was 34th verse. 35th verse. Suta Goswami is concluding. He says, after being worshipped by Markandeya like this, Lord Shiva, encouraged by his concert, replied to him as follows. Lord Shiva again responded back. He said, he's giving benedictions. Oh, great sage, because you are devoted to Lord Adokshaya, all your desires will be fulfilled. He's not saying, see, I will fulfill all your desires like that. He's saying. Lord Shiva is also in humble position. Because you are a devotee of Lord Adokshaya, all your desires will be fulfilled. Until the very end of this creation cycle, you will enjoy pious fame and freedom from old age and death also, like that is describing. And then next verse he describes higher benedictions. May you have perfect knowledge of past, present, and future, along with transcendental realization of the Supreme. He's giving that highest benediction. Because when you have transcendental realization of Supreme, we are engaged in unlimited, unalloyed devotion service always. Enriched by renunciation. That means he's also saying you'll have bhakti coupled with knowledge, transcendental knowledge, and renunciation also like that. May you achieve the post of spiritual master of the Puranas also is saying like that. Now, next verse, 38th verse, Sutta Goswami is concluding, saying that Lord Shiva went on his way after giving benedictions like that. And then he started to describe the accomplishments of Markandeya Rishi to Uma Devi, and also what Markandeya Rishi experienced in terms of the Maya that we discussed. That also he is explaining it seems. Then Markandeya Rishi is glorious because of his achievement of perfection in mystic yoga, and he travels about this world fully absorbed in unalloyed devotion of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not only is a mystic yogi, is also a pure devotee. That's how Sutta Goswami is glorifying. And then he say, I narrated you whatever you asked for about Markandeya Rishi, especially how he experienced the amazing Maya energy of Krishna like that. And then he says, no one should think that this is just an analogy describing the material creation and annihilation like that. This is a real experience Markandeya Rishi had like that. That's why he's confirming here. And then final verse for today is the Falasruti section. It says, whoever conveys the transcendental personality of the Lord, this account, this story of Markandeya Rishi, pastime of Markandeya Rishi, is conveying the transcendental potency of Krishna. Anyone who properly narrates or hears it will never again undergo material existence, which is based on the desire to perform fruitive activities. So instead of those fruitive desires, we'll develop desires to serve Krishna like Markandeya Rishi. We'll pause there. We'll continue tomorrow with the next chapter. Srimad Gautam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Let's offer obeisance to all the devotees of the Lord. Vancha Kuparabhyascha Kupasindubhyevacha Paditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Thank you so much, devotees. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hari Om, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.